It's Friday, April 19th, Saturday, April 20th. If you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under, and this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you have a great long weekend this Easter weekend. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is currently under construction, but soon we will have a plethora of features for you. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe today. Brian D. Parsons is the director of Ghost Help, the executive director of Paranexus, and has worked with a number of groups and organizations since 1996. He also is the host of Paranormal News Insider. He's written 6 books and a follow-up exploring more concepts in paranormal group operation. Brian is someone who focuses on the cultural and historic references behind these weird stories, whether it's UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, or anything strange. Right in his backyard of Ohio, there's plenty of weird and strange going on for just one person to handle. He has a pair of websites you could check out, Paranews Insider and BrianParsons.com. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, we're going to do something a little different tonight in the news. Because tomorrow, being April 20th, for some it's 420. For me, it's the 5-year anniversary of seeing my first extraterrestrial. So we're going to get into that in the news. Brian Parsons, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. A real pleasure to have you here. How are you?
I am fantastic, Dave. Great to be here. Finally. I've been wanting to be on the show for quite a while, yeah. And I'm excited. This is one of my favorite shows I listen to.
Well, I appreciate that. We've wanted to have you on for a while as well. And, you know, having someone as diverse as yourself, and I love the fact that you are a news insider for the paranormal. You report on a lot of news out there. And I do want to get into the media side about it because it is something I'm passionate about. But let's go back to 1996, introduce you to our audience. What got you started in the paranormal?
It's kind of multifaceted. It actually was growing up, I never had any kind of belief system in any of these things, whether it's ghosts, UFOs, or Bigfoot or anything. My parents raised me to just think that these things didn't exist, just so I would sleep better at night. We had a local TV show that would show late-night movies, and their intro to these movies it was called Big Chuck and Little John here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. They had this claymation kind of King Kong creature that would knock down the radio tower. It was really silly to watch it now, but back then it scared me as a kid. So I was terrified. I thought this thing was going to get me out of the second story and take me somewhere. And so I was terrified of this stuff. So they told me, don't worry, this stuff does not exist. And, you know, it wasn't to brainwash me. It was just so I could sleep at night. So lo and behold, years later, around 1996, I heard about a local urban legend, and somebody said, hey, have you heard about this? And I said, well, that sounds fake. And lo and behold, different people were saying the same thing, and I thought that was really interesting. It wasn't just the 20-something friends of mine and the teenagers. It was some of the older people, too, had heard about this story and told me this similar thing. So I got to wondering, what could be behind this local urban legend? And if you go back to 1996, we didn't have Google. We didn't have the World Wide Web. We didn't have much of anything. It was ancient days. Everything was in black and white, you know, the old days. So we had to go to this building called the library to dig up information and look up historical records. And just, I was just curious. I wanted to prove everyone wrong and say there's no such thing as ghosts and there's no such thing as this thing. And I got intrigued and I got hooked on the whole ghost aspect. And at the same time, I was going to college, and a couple friends of mine were struggling writing research papers. They were really apprehensive. So I'd done really well in writing research papers. Research is my thing. I love to do it. So I was helping them out, and one thing led to another. I ended up writing a paper based on my research, and it was a little kind of apprehensive to show these guys because they're all about sports and girls. What 20-something young guy isn't? But lo and behold, they got really hooked on it and interested. We all started talking about a lot of local urban legends in Ohio, especially Northeast Ohio. And gosh, it wasn't too long that we're all out going to cemeteries, that's what you did back then. You went to cemeteries, abandoned buildings in different places, and it really wasn't what I wanted to do. But a lot of people kept coming to me because I was the guy that knew all this stuff, and ultimately started a ghost group. And not something I ever imagined myself doing. When I learned about parapsychology, which I actually learned while I was in school, learning about psychology, they said, we're not even going to talk about that. It's junk science. It's pseudoscience. It means nothing. These are the guys that you're supposed to respect here in science. Well, when I was doing my research, I stumbled upon some of the similar names from science that I was supposed to respect were actually searching for ghosts. And I thought, hey, wait a minute. Something's not right about this. So I wanted to learn for myself. I wanted to find out for myself. And you know how things go. One thing led to another. And 15 years later, I was still running a group. But unfortunately, around 2011, I decided to shut down the group for a number of reasons. It just felt like we weren't going in the right direction. And everything was just so commercialized. And long story with that, but it just seemed like the clients had changed and everything had changed. So decided to move on. But in the interim, during downtime, I wanted to learn about UFOs and ghosts and UFOs because of their connection with the ghost field, ESP, and the psychic connection between experiencers that see things. So I kind of wanted to see things from that angle. So I ultimately got into UFOs, and cryptozoology wasn't too far behind. I love the outdoors. I love to hike and backpack. So that was a natural fit for me as well. So the next thing I know, I'm doing the trifecta.
Well, there is a lot of intertwining between ghosts, UFOs, cryptids. And it's funny, we were talking about that just last night with our guest, Charla Hardin, who believes the same way. Yet there's so many in the paranormal field or cryptid field or UFO field who do not believe there is correlation between any of this. Why do you feel that there is?
Well, I mean, just dealing with the client themselves. And probably one of the most important things I'm going to say all night is when you're studying UFOs or studying ghosts or you're investigating these things, you're not really investigating a UFO. You're not really investigating a Bigfoot. You're not really investigating a ghost. You're investigating that client's perspective on an event that happened to them. So these things are all very similar in how people perceive things, how they view things, how they interpret what they're seeing, their perception of something that maybe they don't believe in. Those experiences are very real. Even if you can find a logical solution, what they saw, you can never take away, even if you can validate it through other means. And so that feeling from those clients, it doesn't matter what they saw, if it was a UFO or ghost, those are all real things to these people. And it's always the same feeling you get from a genuine report. And, on top of that, they're so difficult to try to validate and prove in the field. Obviously, if ghosts were proven a long time ago, there'd probably be not that many people doing what we do. And it's one of those challenging fields. And the same with UFOs. I mean, how do you investigate a UFO? They're long gone by the time you get there. And cryptids, same deal. But there is a lot of connections, and I would have to say with this extrasensory perception, this communication with other senses other than speech, it's prevalent in Bigfoot cases, it's prevalent in UFO cases, and definitely in ghost cases. So there's some sort of beyond normal senses at play here that in a lot of cases you see a lot of overlap. And a lot of people wonder, maybe Bigfoot sightings are more related to ghosts than they are an actual creature in the woods. Maybe even UFOs or aliens, for that matter. So maybe all these things are one type of experience. We're just viewing them in different ways. Not really my hypothesis, but it does make sense to me. And I'm on board with that if there's any way to validate any one of those aspects. But I think they could all be very much one and the same type of experience. We're just defining it differently based on what that client experiences.
Brian, you went out and started Paranews Insider to kind of bring some newsworthiness to the field of the paranormal. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, because I think the reason why a lot of these big groups especially get away with what they do is because there is not a real strength in media inside the paranormal. Sure, we have bloggers and vloggers and people who are trying to get the message out, but it's not really having the impact that it should. Why do you think Paranews Insider was important for you to start?
Well, first of all, I was the first guest on the show called The Grand Dark Conspiracy way back in May of 2008, and I wanted that show to be successful because I was the first guest. I didn't want to see a show flop because I was the guest on there, so it was a monthly show. And so I kind of supported the host, Dan Bouts, and got behind him and got behind the show and was on the message board. And yeah, message board, that's so old now to even say that. Just to help him out and get him going and try to help him get guests and things like that. And he had me back on a few months later and kind of steered the show away from ghosts and talk about cryptozoology. So at that time, the Georgia Bigfoot hoax was happening. When they had the rubber suit and the ice chest and all that, trying to fool the public, and they had media presentation and all that. And we had talked about doing a segment, and he said, hey, if you want to do the news, I'll go ahead and give you a slot. You can take up whatever time you want and come on and do the news. And it's one of those things I'm passionate about because just the way you said it, it's, to me, I don't do my show to get listeners or to have people listen to these stories and believe in ooh and ah over these things. I want to get to the truth of these stories, no matter how good or bad they are. And based on my experience in these variety of fields and working with a lot of different organizations throughout the years, I've learned to interpret things differently than just my guts and my feelings and my emotions. I am able to view things objectively as well as you can, which is pretty difficult when you want to believe in things. So yeah, reporting things, it's not just reading the headline and talking about the news and moving on to the next story. It's digging into these stories and finding the truth, no matter where it takes you, whether it's good news or it's a hoax. It's worth documenting these things to me, and I'm very passionate about that because I would still read all this stuff even if I didn't do a show. And right now I do an hourly show. And I probably spend about 8 to 10 hours a week just reading stories and researching, emailing people, trying to figure out really what's going on behind that story. So it's not just clicking a link and reading it and copying and pasting things and just talking about it. I go very deep with this, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now and approaching 400 shows. And granted, we started out as a monthly segment, and then we went weekly in 2010. And then we went, multiple networks. You know how the radio business goes.
Yes.
And it's fickle like that. And then we ended up doing. We were on an AM channel in the Columbus, Ohio metro area for a few months, and then that fell apart as again radio, and decided to go off on my own. And 2015, I started to do my own show, an hourly segment, standalone. And I stuck with my format. A lot of people wanted me to do the standard interview style. And, I like my format of just sticking to the news. And I do talk about paranormal conferences and conventions because that brings people together and that opens the door for discussion and, cultural. It's a big cultural piece to our fields. And I think those are important to talk about as well. So I'm all about the news and getting to the heart of the matter, whatever that may be.
So many stories could be blown up, go viral, the way they probably deserve to go in this field. Yet the lack of reporting in it really causes a lot of these stories to get lost in translation. And to me, that's a very unfortunate side. Whether it's somebody who's having an incredible UFO sighting, or that maybe there's another Bigfoot video out there that somebody should take a look at, or whether it's something like the troubles that MUFON was having earlier this year. Those are stories that need to be reported, and there's not a lot of people doing that. Are we dropping the ball as a paranormal media? Is it time? Is it the ability, the accountability, the resources that we have or don't have, that these stories are not being publicized more?
I think there's a lot to that, and I think one of the major issues is the opposite stuff that's happening out there. There's YouTubers that are taking people's vacation pictures and video and proclaiming there's UFOs in them, and they're getting frontline, headlines all over the world for silly videos and silly stories that are obviously fakes, but they generate hits. And so these companies are making money from that because they don't care how valid or true a story is. They're getting website clicks, and that's all that matters. They know these stories are very viral. People are going to pass them around and talk about them. People are going to click on a link and show up. And then 2-3 days later, it's going to be over. And then the next story will pop in virally. So I'm kind of angry at the mainstream media, the way they handle the paranormal stories. And it's just, a side note, hey, it's a slow news day, or we need some extra clicks on the website. The Sun and a lot of the other UK-based newspapers are horrendous at this. And they hand you over a check for delivering them a story, no matter how true it is or not. Journalism, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's certainly not very healthy. And when you dig into the paranormal side of that, I hate to say it, but a lot of people are out for the buck, for the dollar, to make money, to generate funds for whatever else they're doing. For me, I don't have commercials. I do it for free. I spend money on my websites. It costs me money to do my show, and I'm not in it for money. I'm in it for the passion, and I think maybe that's what separates me from some of, I don't want to say other shows, but at least bloggers and things. People are trying to generate money, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're delivering misinformation to line your pocket, that's where I have an issue with it. Because to me, I take this stuff seriously, and why else would I invest my time and effort to do it if it didn't mean something to me? I have a job. I work 40 hours a week making money to put a roof over my head. I don't need to make money from this. It would be nice. I'd love to have my own radio show and national syndication and make six figures and all that stuff. But be on a TV show, gosh, that would be so wonderful. But, I don't want to be popular. I don't want to be famous. I'd rather be rich, but, who wouldn't? But to me, I don't want to sell out for my passion. And, I've been very careful with that. Invited on a lot of TV shows, and I'm very selective. I don't want to do stuff that's going to cause me to sell out for anything. And there is a lot of misreporting, misrepresenting of paranormal things, and it really and truly, beyond journalists, it starts with ghost groups that are really doing things that are really shady. Whether or not they realize the tools and technology don't work the way they think they do, or they're just trying to get attention. Everybody wants their own TV show that they're putting on YouTube, and it's whatever happened to helping clients. So there's a lot of misinformation that's coming out, and it's I don't want to say it's hurting the paranormal field because people forget about this stuff weeks and months afterwards. I mean, you look at stories like the Loch Ness Monster, that's been disproven a number of times. Every time a case comes out, it's disproven. A few years ago, they pretty much found evidence that this was a plot from the local hotel owners to create this thing to get people to come out there. It's still alive and well. It's more popular now than ever. And I think it's great because it gives something for people to believe in. But at the same time, you have to know the history behind these things as well. So you're not thinking there's really a giant creature floating in that water. It's more or less a cultural icon that's keeping that kind of stuff going. And that's where people get lost, I think, and they misrepresent what's happening out there in the field.
I think, too, there is also a very big lack of understanding of what the word journalist and journalism is. And we have a lot of people, as I've been mentioning on this show for the last number of months, who are making claims that this is what they do when they actually have no idea what it means to be a journalist. And I see we have a lot of that. And like I've told our audience over and over again, Brian, if the person cannot provide credentials, and writing a blog or vlog doesn't count, but if they can't provide credentials for where their stories have gone or been published or made some sort of sense, stop self-titling yourself. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it worries me because a lot of, I don't know, I don't even know if it's just shows or, blogs or any of this stuff, but it seems like a lot of their stories that they're trying to market for themselves are stuff that there's no research behind it. They get an email and all of a sudden, hey, this is my story, I'm going to run with it. There's no research. There's no going into to figure out if this is real or not. It may be a phone call and say, hey, did you really see this? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to write about this real quick and throw this up on my website. So there is no work. There's no honesty behind some of these things. I get tons of emails from people with all sorts of claims. They never hit the airwaves because I know there's no way to validate them or no way to really to check up on it. There's no evidence or anything to back these things up. Every now and again you get a nice nugget that there's something to back it up with, but it's pretty rare. And, I could run it that way. I could take every email I get and post and write a blog about it and say it's my story, it's a breaking story, and kind of come up with things. But, I don't know. There's a lot of dishonesty, I think, going on. And I hate to say that way, but, it's my integrity. When I do a show, if I get something wrong, it's not on purpose. It's because maybe I got fooled by a story. I don't want to misrepresent myself or what I do because it's my name, it's my integrity. And for some people, it's almost like a persona they put on, like they're acting as somebody else, like a rock star or a TV personality or a radio personality. It's not even them doing it. And to me, that's silliness. I mean, yeah, I do. It's for entertainment, but at the same time, we're talking about real people, real events, real things. To me, and
right. Brian, I'm going to get you to hold on here. We're going to step out for a break at the bottom of the hour. Brian D. Parsons is our guest tonight. We're getting into the paranormal. We're going to find out next, why is there so much strange in the state of Ohio? Stay tuned for more Spaced Out Radio right after this. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters right here in the frozen Canadian tundra. Remember, if you missed part of this show or others, you could always check them out on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And our current website is under construction. Due to popular demand, we are building a brand new website that's going to look amazing, be quite user-friendly for all of you, so stay tuned for that coming in the coming weeks as well. Brian D. Parsons is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we are getting into it all tonight with this gentleman who's an investigator since 1996 out of the state of Ohio. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave.
You live in Ohio. And it's funny, man, because every time something weird or strange happens, there always seems to be a tie, one way or another, to Ohio. I mean, do you just shake your head at that and wonder, what the hell is going on in my state?
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of Florida stuff, but Ohio is crazy. Ohio seems to be the center of weirdness. I don't know. I mean, I've been to a lot of states. I've investigated in many, many states. I've gotten the pleasure to speak in a lot of different places as well, so I've seen a lot of different things. But yeah, when you think about Ohio, it's crazy here. When you think of Ohio, a lot of people don't think about Bigfoot. You know, they think about Washington, Oregon, California, even British Columbia. You know, they think about West Coast stuff, and maybe Florida with the skunk ape, maybe Texas, but Ohio is actually one of the top 5 states for sightings. And there's a big history of Bigfoot and Bigfoot-like creatures. Dogman, you mentioned that during the break. Dogman, Defiance, Ohio. It's a big area for Dogman sightings. We have a number of types of Bigfoot. So we had Grassman before there was really the Bigfoot name.
Yes.
Which, that came out in the 50s. So, Grassman. We do share that with Michigan. I'll give you guys credit up there. But he's pretty well known here for that. We have the Minerva Monster, which is a case in 1972, a Bigfoot-like creature. We think Cedar Bog Monster in Urbana, Ohio. That goes back to the 1940s. And then you have Orange Eyes in Mansfield, Ohio. And Mansfield is also home to a pretty famous UFO event that happened back in 1974. I believe. There was a helicopter, and they encountered a UFO, and they had to veer the helicopter out of the way, and there was actually witnesses. There was radar data to back this up. It's a pretty legitimate case, one of the more legitimate ones that are out there. To me, even more legitimate than Roswell, believe it or not. I have my arguments for that against Roswell, but yeah, the Mansfield UFO, or the Mansfield Encounter is what it's called, the Cognier incident for the pilot. And also in Mansfield, it's the Mansfield Reformatory, probably my favorite place anywhere to investigate, whether Ohio or anywhere else. Very haunted prison, and you may have seen it if you've ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's in pretty much disrepair at this point, but nothing like what it was in the movie. And granted, it's Hollywood anyway. But beautiful building, very haunted. And it takes a lot for me to say that.
Could imagine.
I'm very skeptical of any site for any kind of thing like that. But this place, I've had more experiences in there than anywhere else combined. And actually feel really comfortable in there, believe it or not. It's kind of weird to say that. You feel comfortable walking around a prison in the middle of the night. But very great. I've been fortunate to be there with just a few people, 2, 3, 4 people before walking around there. So beautiful place, very scary, very haunted. And we have all sorts of weird stories all over the state. I mentioned about my first experience at this area. It's actually called Squire's Castle, that was built around the turn of the century, and it was the last century, not the 21st century, but very weird story about that they thought that the wife of the owner, Mr. Squire, that she fell down these steps, and granted there's like 5 different stories, that she died in the location, and you could see her ghost going back and forth. So, a lot of people broke into there and did all sorts of weird stuff, but it's a very well-known thing. Everybody makes the trip out there, and it's part of the Northeast Ohio area. There's a lot of crazy, scary things. It's also Cleveland is home to Franklin Castle, which is purportedly one of the haunted places. Everybody has one of the most haunted places in the world. Gore Orphanage is another scary thing that people might have heard of. We have Helltown, which is a spooky, scary thing where all sorts of strange things happen. We're also home to the Melonheads, which that story is. There's a lot of Melonhead stories all over the
fill in the Melonheads. Fill in the Melonheads for people who may not know.
We have a couple of different stories, but one is that a scientist was basically doing experiments on children, and they escaped into the woods. They have these giant heads. And that story really, it honestly scared me the first time I heard it when I was younger, before I got into this stuff. And then after I started to research it, it's actually funny to me now. I know it's sad to say that, but we have purportedly a hospital where the hospital had burned down, where this stuff was actually happening. So it's and it's really close to Helltown. So it's weird. And then there's also another story of Melonheads in an area called Kirtland, Ohio, which is closer to the Squire's Castle. A very similar story where there was a guy doing experiments on kids in the basement, and they escaped. Very, very weird that they're all the same story. But there's variations of just like any kind of story. Local folklore, we have a lot of different things. There's, like I said, there's all over the place. Michigan has it. I know there's a couple states along the East Coast that have it, but there was an orphanage basically as well, where it's rumored that there was an orphanage. One was a hospital, one was an orphanage, that these kids were being worked on, and all these different things. There was actually a movie about that too, I think, came out. But Kirtland and I don't really know the city, but it's kind of in the Helltown area, is also known for that here in Ohio. There's a lot of misinformation and just different stories that have popped up on websites and different things over the years that have it's really hard to find the root of these urban legends. And I really was into this years and years ago, trying to study all this stuff, and it's just mind-boggling because now with the internet, all these stories are just jumbled together. But it's really spooky when you think about it. Somebody doing experiments. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I think it was Dr. Crow was the guy's name. But there is no such person. Nobody could ever find any information. But people with obviously giant heads, no hair, weird-looking bodies, just running through the woods at night, sometimes wearing gowns. That'll keep you out of the woods if you're intent on looking for these things. When you think about what they look like and the work that they've been done on them, it's a little spooky and scary. So it does keep you out of the woods. But I think some of these stories were made up to keep people from trespassing in certain areas where they were come up with. But that doesn't work. People still do it.
My favorite story is still of the Frogmen.
Oh, yes.
God, I love that story. Fill our audience in on what happened there.
Well, there's a couple. Well, you go back to 1955, and Loveland, Ohio is It's more southern Ohio, so it's near, kind of close to the Dayton area. It's about an hour away from Dayton. And 1955, there was this, as the story goes, it's one of those kind of things. A businessman was returning from a trip or going to a trip, whichever part of the story you've heard, and suddenly he's having car trouble. And he's crossing over a bridge, and he gets out of the car to see what's wrong with the car, and he hears this commotion down by the river, and he wonders what's going on. So he looks down, he starts walking over there, and he looks down, and he sees these 3 giant frogs standing up on their back legs, so bipedal frogs. And one of the frogs happens to have a stick in its hand that starts emitting sparks. So you know the guy couldn't make this thing up. That's just too zany to make up. And he somehow, some way, the car started and he sped away or he ran away, whatever the story. There's different variations of that. But that was the initial urban legend. However, 1972, a police officer was driving in the area, and all of a sudden he saw a giant frog jump over a guardrail. And he freaked out, as anybody would. Everybody in that area knows about that urban legend, knows about the Loveland frog, or the Loveland frogman, or the frogman of Loveland, or the Loveland lizard. It's got many, many names. And he actually got out of the car and he shot at it. And he went back to the police station, told the other officers, and of course, they laughed at him, as anybody would, and wondered if probably made him take a drug test. I don't know. It's 1972, so I don't know if they cared about that stuff. And not even 2 weeks later, another officer saw the creature again. But this time, basically this creature wasn't as agile as it had been before, and he was able to shoot it, subdue it, and throw it in the trunk of his car. Brought it back to the police station, opened up the trunk, and what do they find? They find a small pet iguana that had lost its tail, maybe only 2 feet long, and this is what the officer had seen. And so there was a lot of confusion behind the story, and they kind of let it go. One of the officers ended up moving down to Florida. The other one quit the police department. So this story just kind of went just on its own for a long time. All the way up until 2016, when it was back. There was this viral game that people were playing called Pokemon Go. Some people still play it. And these kids were purportedly playing by the same river where they initially had seen these Loveland frogs. And he spotted a frog standing in the water with glowing eyes and actually took a picture of it. And it's not been completely dismissed, but it's probably just a hoax. But however, this got the attention of the media. So the media got involved. The media found the initial witness, the initial police officer, I should say, 1972, contacted him and asked him. And this is when it actually came out that it definitely was a pet iguana, and that what he seen wasn't something that jumped over the guardrail. It was misrepresented in newspapers and in stories subsequent. So it actually tied up the story of the Loveland frog. But I'd like to think about, prior to this 2016 incident, that it was just, what was it? Was it a large frog, something mutated from some of the industries that were along the river, or not? But unfortunately, they put a close to it, and it was just a pet iguana. But it's still an awesome story. Very zany. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. You don't hear about bipedal frogs pretty much anywhere else. Bigfoot, dime a dozen.
Yeah, they do seem to be a dime a dozen out there. I mean, the grass man could be considered a Bigfoot, and, it's just something that there's a little bit for everybody in Ohio, no matter what you're interested in. Sea monsters, why not? Let's throw a few of those in as well.
We've got Bessie, the Lake Erie monster. Lake Erie monster, we take credit for that in Cleveland. We actually have the AHL hockey team, which is a minor league hockey team. It's the minor league hockey team to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who just swept the most the highest seeded team in the playoffs. Proud of those guys. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I'm going to be for the next couple of weeks. But the Lake Erie Monsters, named after this monster, and became really famous in the 1990s when there was a story published that it actually knocked over a sailboat and killed people. But unfortunately, that was published in the Weekly World News, and anyone who's been around back in that time frame knows that that's all just made-up stuff. If you've ever seen the Men in Black, the original first Men in Black, that was where they got their information from, which was all made-up stories about the werewolf kid or whatever it was that they had. That was their big claim to fame, or vampire kid or whatever he was. But another one, too, I want to mention. I'm sure everyone's heard of the Mothman.
Yes.
Pretty popular creature. It's known to be in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. One state away, right? Well, technically, it's right across the river from Ohio. And a lot of people had seen it in Ohio as well. And the Silver Bridge collapsed was between West Virginia and Ohio. So I like to kind of adopt the Mothman as a Buckeye creature myself, because he's right across the river.
What do you think of all these Mothman sightings that are allegedly happening in Illinois?
Well, I know Lon Strickler, who's part of the network that I'm on, the Paranormal King Radio Network. He's been one of the primary investigators, and I was kind of following this pretty closely when it happened. I was really in awe of it and covering every time there was a case. But, I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to be honest how I feel. And, this may upset some people, but I really don't believe all this stuff is real. I think maybe there was a couple, but I think really this piling of events, I think it's just because everybody knows about it now, and I think people are just adding to it. I don't think there's 3 or 4 creatures out there. I think maybe somebody saw something. Maybe it was a misinterpretation of some regular bird, or maybe there was some sort of a creature, maybe not a Mothman, maybe a large, extremely large bird, maybe even a thunderbird. Just maybe a misrepresentation of something else, probably something logical. And then it just kind of steamrolled. And when he was getting 2-3 reports a week, and some of these were just, I'm going to say it, kind of ridiculous and way out there, I just kind of lost it with that. And for a while I was hooked. I thought this is awesome. This is like something bad is going to happen though, but it fell right in line with Mothman. But then it just it got a little silly. I'm not going to lie. But it's weird. It's continuing. It's trickled down. It's hardly any sightings, but they're still happening. It's been, I think, about 2 years now. So it's kind of weird. On the same token, I know there's a team that's working out there, UFO investigators that are trying to track all these things down. And they do interview the witnesses. So I don't know. It's not my place. I'm not one of the researchers. I wasn't, picked to be on that team. But I would really love to get a hold of some of these witnesses and really kind of figure some of these things out. But some of the information and evidence, there was one case where it was supposedly a police officer who was off duty who'd witnessed this and talked to one of the people, and lo and behold, I had to use the Freedom of Information Act to get a hold of said police report, and I was sent a letter that said that there is no such thing, that this incident never happened, that these stories that the police department had heard about it, and they're all bogus. Is pretty much what I had gotten from the Chicago PD. So I don't know. That was when I heard that information, I was just kind of like, well, maybe that's the end of the road for me. I'm going to kind of back away from that story. Nothing against Lon and what he does for Phantoms and Monsters. It's a great story, and if people are seeing things, whether it's a real monster, a real Mothman type creature, or a giant owl, or whatever it could be, that's great. But I think there's some people that are taking advantage of this story and adding stuff in. And when that happens, it's really hard to get to cut through all that and really figure out what's going on. So I was hoping over time that would just kind of go away. And then maybe you would have some little bits of sightings, which is kind of happening now. But they're all fitting the same MO, which makes me wonder. Some of the stories sound exactly the same as the ones that have happened. and other places in downtown Chicago. And, there's cameras everywhere down there. And there's a couple of events that happened where there are cameras and nothing was captured at that time either. So it makes me wonder about that. But it's still a really interesting story. We don't have anything like that going on anywhere. And it reminds me a lot of, you look back at some of the Bigfoot stories. We're talking about that. 1970s were huge with mass Bigfoot sightings. I should say flaps, I guess is the term you would use, where, UFO flaps and also Bigfoot flaps. They're, especially Pennsylvania had a number of flaps there for a while happening in the 1970s, and also UFO sightings in the 1970s, and also UFO and Bigfoot sightings happening at the same time. So people seeing UFOs and Bigfoot. So we haven't had that in a while. So that kind of makes me wonder too. We haven't had a big flap in a while. So is this generated from public fear, public interest, people just jumping on the bandwagon, or is there something legitimate between all these fake stories? And it's really hard to cut through that in this day and age with social media and people, the 24-hour news cycle is not even 24 hours. It's every second there's a news story. I mean, a celebrity drops dead, about it 10 seconds later. So it really complicates the news, let alone the paranormal news. But I would really hope that there's something going on out there. But I don't know. Just some of this stuff just doesn't add up.
Your reality is starting to really affect my Twitter crowd who only snarks best when there is peak woo. And you're not giving them peak woo. You're giving them reality here. I think they may have the shakes, Brian. I think they may have the shakes, but that's okay.
I don't want to cater to the believers. I want.
I get you. Brian, you hold on. We're going to take a break at the top of the hour. More Spaced Out Radio, Hour 2, coming up next.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com. Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. This long weekend, Tessa Nicole Thomas is back with Spaced Out Weekend, Saturday and Sunday nights, going at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, welcome everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fipple. Fipple is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. It is under construction. We are rebuilding it due to popular demand from all of you, and so we're going to have a brand new look coming up in just a couple of weeks. Tonight we are talking with Brian D. Parsons. He is a paranormal journalist. He is an investigator, researcher, author of 6 books. Guy does it all. He has 2 websites, briandparsons.com and paranewsinsider.com, if you want to check those out. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir.
There was a passing in the paranormal field today, as Lorraine Warren passed away at the age of 92. And, of course, they are best known for their work with people like the Smurls, the Parents, in the movie The Conjuring, the Amityville Horror House, and so many more. What did Ed and Lorraine Warren mean to the paranormal field, in your opinion?
Well, you know, it's kind of weird thinking about, you know, when this happened. I'll be honest, one of the first things I thought of is that it's just barely over a year ago that Art Bell passed away, April 13th, Friday the 13th. And here we are, another Friday. Granted, she passed away, I believe, Thursday night, late Thursday night, but we didn't hear about it, you know, until social media. And then the media picked up on the story during the day and the afternoon. And I don't know, I just got to thinking about that because Art Bell was a huge icon, especially for people in the paranormal radio. I mean, I've always wanted to be on the radio, and I say he didn't influence me, but I think he really did, because just the way he did it and how he kept his balance. And then now another pretty big icon. I mean, Lorraine Warren was loved by a lot of people, even people that didn't believe in some of the cases that they did, and of the 10,000 some odd cases that they claimed they did. And, you know, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Amityville Horror and some of the Conjuring stuff, but I tell you, they did what they thought was the right thing to do, Ed and Lorraine, and they influenced a lot of people, and they helped a lot of people. And really and truly, that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's what we all should be doing, is going out and helping people. Now, whether or not, again, I'm not a big believer in demonology, but, you know, I have a good friend, Dave Considine, who was trained.
Friend of this show, too.
Yeah, trained by Ed and Lorraine. And, you know, the next thing I thought of was, man, how's Dave doing? Because I know he's hurting.
Well, they were she was like a second mother to him.
Yes, yeah. So I felt that pain, and you know, him and I were co-hosts on a show together, and you know, we talked, and he's a fantastic guy, and it's so weird because, you know, I'm science and process and this and that. He's more of the religion and demonology, and we're complete opposites but we get along because we both see the common goal with things. And, you know, we talked about Lorraine, and I've actually been fortunate enough to meet her once, and small little woman, but I tell you what, her presence is very powerful. And she's just one of those people that when you walk into the room, she just commands your attention. And I think that's just who she was her whole life. She's just her, and I'm sure I never got to meet Ed, but I'm sure Ed was the same way. And I think that they're icons. I mean, Lorraine wasn't super active in the last few years, but pretty active in the paranormal conference arena, especially here on the East Coast, in her last few years. But, you know, I met her 6-7 years ago, and she was having a hard time getting around back then. So I'm sure she didn't do a whole lot of traveling. But so a lot of the newer people may not really be influenced from her. But I'll tell you, the people that have been around as long as I have, we may not like some of the stuff that they do, but we certainly respect them for them doing what they did and putting their necks out for what they believe in and helping people. And yeah, they get the attention for some of these cases, but you know, there's a lot of other cases that they never really publicized, and it's hard to get information out of them when you talk to them. So they were doing what they felt was the right thing to do through their belief system, and there's really nothing wrong with that. And it's sad, you know, it was shocking to me when Ed died. You know, he died suddenly of a heart attack. I believe he was 79 years old. And, you know, with her, I mean, she lived a good life, 92 years old. I don't know if I'll make it. So, hey, and it wasn't a ghost that got her or anything like that. Like people always say, oh gosh, you're not going to live a long life if you're dealing with ghosts and demons and things. Well, she proved you wrong. And it's a sad day. I mean, to lose anybody, let alone somebody who's really an icon in this field. I really feel that way. And it's kind of sobering when you see the people that have paved the way for a lot of other people when they move on. It makes you kind of take stock. You know, what have I done? What have I given back? And I hope people kind of look at that way and, you know, look back at what they did. Not the negative stuff or the controversy behind things like the Amityville Horror, but, you know, some of the good things that they did, and, you know, trying to leave their mark or trying to, you know, help the fields. You know, they try to leave a positive mark. And, you know, everybody that I ever met that worked with them loved them and never had a bad thing to say. And you can't beat that.
There also was a lot of controversy around the Warrens. Many people in the paranormal community believe they faked stories, faked evidence, faked results for their own benefit and their own popularity. What do you have to say about the critics who were concerned about this type of plagiarism of the paranormal, if we can call it that?
Well, I think a lot of it is founded. Like I said, you know, things like the Amityville Horror, it was a money deal. It was for a book. And, you know, how much of that was real? Probably not much. You know, with the Lutzes, you know, that whole thing it's just, I don't know. It does stink. You know, and some of the other cases, yeah, there was stuff made up. There's legal things still going on about some of these cases. And, you know, The Conjuring, Haunting in Connecticut, all these movies, and you'll look at the movies and you'll look at the actual cases, and even that, it's funny where you have a case and you can read the investigation, then you see the portrayal of it, even in the book, you know, the Amityville Horror book, the Amityville Horror movie, and it's nothing like really what happened. And, you know, that's just Hollywood. That's what they do. But then you see these lawsuits and you hear about, you know, people lying about things and making stuff up just for book deals and money. And, you know, it makes you wonder, you know, what was behind that. But it's hard to say because so many people, you know, back them up on and saying, you know, they were genuine people. But, you know, when it comes to money, when it comes to fame, you know, I've said it earlier before, you know, it does change people. So who's to say? You know, maybe they were trying to do the right thing and trying to get these things out, but maybe it was for popularity. Maybe it was for money. And like I said, there's a lot of lawsuits still lingering about even the Amityville Horror, some of the stuff, between authors and the publisher and all these things, it's still lingering in the court system. It's sticky, but, I don't want to attack their character, especially, Lorraine the day after her passing, but I mean, you're right. There's a lot of controversy behind this stuff, and it almost goes hand in hand with a lot of the stuff in the paranormal anyway. There's a lot of hoaxing, there's a lot of fabrication, a lot of lying, a lot of misinterpretation. So whether it's intentional or not, I don't know with some of these people, but you kind of have to wonder what Ed and Lorraine were up to, especially in their early days, trying to establish themselves. Were they selling out? Were they trying to buy attention or, get publicized? I mean, it really seems that way, in my opinion.
But on the flip side, they did bring what we all craved. They brought popularity to the genre. They were really the first paranormal celebrities, if you want to call them that.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they paved the way for a lot of people to be there. And again, they stuck to their story. They stuck to what they believed, which is kind of weird. You'd think that if they got called out and they were wrong, or they felt like, hey, we got caught, that they would just go away. And they didn't. They kept doing what they were doing and kept at it. So, kind of makes you wonder, maybe they didn't realize, or maybe they didn't intend to do things that way. But yeah, they really paved the way for a lot of the para-celebs that we have nowadays. And, I don't know about TV shows, but, movies, obviously they've influenced that. And it's kind of fitting that, really the Amityville Horror was really the first major movie that dealt with, you could, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think, was based on a real story, but that's kind of a little bit different genre. But, this was the first time that a major movie was made about a book that was based on a real story like this, and a ghost story. So yeah, it just captured the imagination of a lot of people. And it happened at a time where parapsychology was dwindling, and I think the pure belief systems of people of wondering what's going on was kind of surpassing the science viewpoint. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's the peak. Well, actually, we're probably past the peak right now, with all the TV shows kind of going away for the most part. But, yeah, they did pave the way.
Their impact, especially the Rains later on, will be felt for a long time, because there was a lot of respect that way. But now the big question is, what happens to their haunted museum, like the Annabelle doll? Have you heard anything about that?
I'm not. I think the museum is pretty much in the family's hands at this point. But what's going to happen after that? I don't. After this, I don't really know. I mean, who knows if they're going to continue that or liquidate it, or I mean, who knows? I've heard of some controversy within the family as well about some of their financial things and whatnot. So I really don't know. I'd hate to speculate on that, but hopefully they keep stuff like that going. I mean, it's history, even if it's not legitimate stuff, but it's still, I've seen a lot of haunted type museums and different things all over the United States. So, why not? Hopefully they keep it intact, but when you don't have the people there behind it. But I think, like you said, there's a legacy there. And I think as long as that museum is there, I think that legacy is going to continue.
I think it's still an impact on what happens. And I really hope it doesn't become an auction bid for who has the most money to get these. I hope the family, if they don't keep it in their name, makes it go to a place that the public can still enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of haunted museums out there. You think of Zach Bagans, you think of Ross Allison up here in Seattle, you think of Greg and Dana Newkirk, John Zaffis. There's a lot of people who would love to get their hands on that collection. And I really hope that whoever does get that, it goes in safe hands, especially the Annabelle doll, because if there is any reality to the Annabelle doll, which a lot of people believe there is, that falling in some bad hands could mean a lot of trouble for someone.
That is true. I got to see the Robert, the haunted doll, down in Key West, and there's a lot of weird stories about that. But Annabelle is the, I almost said king, but kind of, I guess, queen of these haunted dolls, and it's become a weird market on eBay and everything else about purported haunted dolls. But when you talk about potentially legit, that's definitely something that should not be in just some random collector's hands. It should be in the hands of somebody that has a respect and a decent understanding of what they're dealing with, if there is anything behind it.
I wonder if there is. What's your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know if objects like that can hold anything. I think it really comes from when we're seeing and interpreting ghosts and ghost type things. I think it's more of almost our projection of things. So if a doll is haunted, it may be just our projection of fear or emotion. I don't think that a doll has the ability to come to life on its own. I think there has to be some sort of living something behind it. I don't want to say energy, but kind of fuel, I guess, emotional type fuel. So maybe we give it life.
Could very well be. Let's move on here, because right before the break we were talking about the weirdness of Ohio, and there's a lot of people in that state that talk about UFOs and alien abduction. And Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is known for a lot of high strangeness as well. And I knew a former firefighter who's been on this show. He's an ET abductee. And his fellow firefighting buddies used to work out at Wright-Pat. And they were pretty much told that if certain buildings are on fire, let them burn. Do not go in, no matter what. That is a very, very strict order. How much of the UFO tie in Ohio do you think is caused by weird, strange things happening at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base?
Wright-Pat, it's funny, too, because they were on the Project Blue Book TV show that was on the History Channel. That was in the first episode. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Here we are. We're right back, no pun intended. But, I don't know. It's always been a part of this lore of UFO, crashed UFOs and potential alien findings. And you kind of wonder, where that's at. Not far away from a lot of crazy, zany things. Mothman is an example, not too far away from there. You could say what was the other thing? The Flatwoods Monster, not too far away. Then you come up here, we have all kinds of crazy stuff in this part of the state, too. And it's almost like the epicenter. And the Mansfield UFO sighting was about maybe an hour and a half north of that. So I don't know. It's kind of a strange area. I don't know if there's still stuff going on there, still sightings. I could tell you that I've done probably just as much research on ghostly activity at Wright-Pat as UFO stuff. So it's definitely a center of weirdness. And I've heard a lot of people encounter strange things and ghosts and see people walking around and hearing music and weird stuff in some of the museums. But yeah, UFOs, it's definitely, historically, it's been a part of that. Grudge and Blue Book, and it's been named many times. So I don't know. If it had that history, it's probably still remaining. And whether or not there's still stuff there, I don't know. That would be intriguing. I've not heard anything, but I wouldn't doubt it. Because saying you're going to move to Area 51, but if you keep it there, Hangar 18, who's going to know?
Well, I think Wright-Pat really got into the field of the weird and strange when it was reported that the Roswell crash was immediately sent there before going to Area 51. and that there's
Right.
potential that there has been aliens there. There's been potential that they're keeping hidden craft there. I mean, there's even talk that a lot of these TR-3Bs that we hear about, these black triangles, could be coming out of Wright-Pat as well. Have you heard those stories?
I've actually talked to people that claim that they've actually worked on those at Wright-Pat. So whether or not, I really can't substantiate those claims, but that I've heard that. People claiming that they worked on landing gear and different weird parts, which is kind of strange that people would talk about that. But it's not exactly out in the middle of nowhere. But I guess there's enough room to test certain things out there, but there's not a huge, it's not a focus area of UFO sightings for the state. But, I mean, who's to say, how maybe they're building stuff there, maybe testing it indoors, and we just don't get to see stuff. And, but you don't hear, there's not that same kind of mystery behind it as like Area 51 or some of the more remote places out west. We don't hear about reports of lights in the sky and UFOs over that area too much anymore. Now, you go back, there's a lot of reports in the 80s and I think early 90s as well. But recently, I have not heard a whole lot of stuff coming from that exact area. But again, you look around that area, going down toward the West Virginia line, there's a lot of stuff happening there, and it's not that far away. So it kind of makes you wonder, maybe it does have some sort of effect on that. And it's really strange how Ohio, so, I'm close to Cleveland. Cleveland has a very heavy NASA footprint as well. There's a big NASA thing up there, and it makes you wonder. It's only about an hour and a half flight from Cleveland, so I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff, but again, not a whole lot of sightings to kind of back up anything. But there is an aura of mystery surrounding Wright-Pat to this day. So it's kind of our little piece of Roswell right here in our backyard.
It is kind of weird, as we got less than a minute to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. I mean, so much strange is happening there, yet it's just not as sexy as Area 51. Is it because maybe things are hidden in plain view there?
Yeah, it's not remote. There's no black mailbox. There's no guys sitting in vans looking at you through binoculars. There's none of that mystery. It's just sitting there in the middle of, just the middle of there. It's a destination place. There's a museum there that people go to. Right. So it's not like it's completely off limits. It's very close to Dayton. Dayton's a pretty heavy area. It's not a metro area, but it's heavily trafficked area. I've been out there a number of times, so it's not like it's remote. And I think that takes away that sexiness factor that you mentioned.
Perfect. On that note, we're going to get you to hold on tight. Brian D. Parsons is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue with talk around Ohio. Whatever else comes up, you have questions, we'll ask them. Put them in the chat rooms in capital letters. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose, Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for coming along for the ride on this long weekend. Remember, if you want to check out all of our archives, you can do so on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor and hit that subscribe button. If you go to our website, you'll notice that a new one is under construction. We're making it bigger, better, and easier for all of you to handle. So give us a couple weeks on that. Tonight we are talking with Brian D. Parsons. He's got a pair of websites you want to check out, briandparsons.com and Paranews Insider. And right before the break, we were talking about some of the high strangeness in the state of Ohio. And Brian, you mentioned something a little bit strange, which was the ghosts of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. You got to go into that a little bit. What's happening there?
Well, like I said, there's people that claim to see pilots of some of these aircraft, crew of some of these aircraft. They claim to hear some of the radio chatter that would have been on the radios, between the radio tower and the pilots. They claim to hear that chattering in there. The people have seen people running around in there. Your typical stuff of the feeling of somebody there, but very unique stuff of seeing pilots dressed in the exact gear, music of the era playing, very basic things. But I've heard a lot of the same stories from people who had visited there, and I also knew somebody who had worked there for a short period of time. It told me that there was all sorts of stuff happening, that no matter what I did in my career, in my life, I had to get there to investigate, but I've never really made any contact to get in there. But that would be a dream come true from what I hear. And, again, I mentioned with Annabelle, I'm not a big believer in haunted objects, but those craft were piloted by people of very stressful times, I'm sure. Certain war-era aircraft, people were fearful they were going to die every second, pretty much, in those craft. And you have to wonder how much of that emotion spilled over into those aircraft and what they hold emotionally that we can resonate, we can connect with as living people. So some of the stories, I can't discount them. I've experienced things myself in some of these prisons and hospitals. So that would just be, I think, really hyper when you're talking about aircraft and big, large metal objects and in a museum, and with all that history under one roof, it makes you wonder what's going on. But again, a lot of voices, a lot of people seeing apparitions of pilots and people who aren't supposed to be there just suddenly disappearing. And, it sounds like a lot of haunting type activity versus interactive ghosts. But definitely, you talk about historical stuff. Some of the planes they have in there have, fought in a lot of wars. So under one roof, that's a lot of ghost potential.
Did you ever hear anything about the gremlins that used to haunt airplanes? Is there rumors of that around Wright-Patterson as well?
I've not heard stories of gremlins there, and really I haven't heard that in a long time. It's interesting that you mentioned that, but yeah, it goes back. Just trying to remember the last time I really heard. I mean, even in the Vietnam era, there was rumors of gremlins and helicopters and things causing them to crash and different things, but not heard anything related directly to Wright-Pat.
I want to stick with the UFO side for a little bit here because you have a great book out, one of your many, called Handbook for the Amateur UFO Investigator. And I think it's an important book. This came out a couple of years ago, but you're really trying to show a lot of the historical references, the cultural references, and the understanding of how people should kind of delve into it. What made you write that book?
Well, honestly, I wrote 4 ghost-type books, and one of them was my unique view on a methodology. I didn't intend to create it. It just happened. And then I really had, during that time, we had started to write this cryptozoology book that was kind of balanced towards the researcher investigator, too. And I was really happy with that when I finally got that out. I made the list of the top books for Lauren Coleman's list. And he had approached me and emailed me and said, "Hey, I want to sell that book in my museum up in Portland, Maine, and I also want to write a foreword for that." And I was all giddy and excited. I was like, "Wow, he's a living legend, in my opinion, for cryptozoology." So I re-released that book in 2015, and then I kind of sat back and said, I really should do a UFO book to kind of close the chapter on my handbook basics series that I've been writing. And one thing that kept me from doing it is the fact that anyone who's been a part of MUFON, which you mentioned earlier, they have a fantastic researcher's handbook that they wrote, a guidebook. And it's basically kind of like, it reads like a bunch of blogs put together, but it's fantastic. And I really didn't want to compete against that because it's such a great manual. But I thought, it's over $100, and I could do it balanced. So I thought, why not? Let's just finish what I started. And, I wrote it's really balanced between reality and what they claim had happened. And, I really was trying to keep it very balanced. And so kind of my final book of that basic series.
When it comes to UFOs, there's not a lot of manuals out there teaching the rookies, so to speak, how to even do that or what they should even do. Is your book a guideline for newbies out there to really pay attention to, so that way they can maybe have their own sighting that they're longing for?
Well, again, I try to keep it balanced, but I give a lot of tips and hints of, I want people to not just see something and think automatically UFO. I want them to realize there's a lot of things that you can see in the sky that looks exciting, but maybe it's explainable. Very similar with ghosts. And, I try to paint that picture and probably with the hope too. And, the kind of people that I meet at conventions, a lot of people are into ghosts or into cryptozoology or into UFOs, and they kind of want to get their feet wet. They want to get into those fields, but, they may already know one or the other. So one of the things I did was really try to demonstrate how different UFO research is than ghost research and cryptid research. So with UFO research, you can actually recreate the scene, whereas you really can't do that with ghosts. And you can kind of do that with cryptids, but, Mother Nature takes over after a while.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sorry, my throat's getting dry here. So with UFO research, we can go back, we can look at the historical weather. We know if it's raining. We know if there's lightning, potential for ball lightning, all those kinds of things. We can look at radar data for solid objects, for rain. The Dopplers can see solid objects as well. Sometimes they see flocks of birds, which can also be a logical explanation. We can look at flight tracker information. Maybe that was an airplane. No, it wasn't an airplane. Well, yeah, let's look at the flight data. Let's look at flight trackers and local radars to see if that was a plane. Let's rule it out, or try to find that it probably was what you saw. We can look at satellites. We can pinpoint where a satellite was at any point in time, and we can use software like Stellarium to put them up there. We can see exactly what that person saw. And with that, we can look at star charts. We can look at the planets, where they were at. You were talking about the moon earlier, seeing the Northern Lights, which is an awesome story. And we can rebuild what that person saw from their perspective, wherever they were at exactly what time they were at. I mean, it's science. So that, and we can also look at things like meteors. So we know when meteor showers are taking place. Large meteor sightings are generally reported by a lot of people, and they can determine where these things entered in it from what angle. So there's a lot of stuff that we can look at as a UFO researcher that's a lot different than these other fields.
With that data that you can collect with a field of UFO, I mean, a lot of people may not know how to get in touch with, in checking the flight plans of aircraft or radar or satellite tracking or anything along those lines. A lot of people will say, well, that's maybe just a little bit too much that I want to delve into. But the one thing that you can't guarantee, whether it's paranormal activity or whether it is UFOs, you can't guarantee that it's going to happen, that you just go outside and boom, there's a UFO. Like I do a ghost tour at our local museum, which will be starting our new season of tours tomorrow night. And we always tell people right off the bat, don't forget, we can't guarantee that you're going to have anything happen. We just can't. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So when you are telling people, I think the biggest thing when people get into this field is they get a little bit frustrated that things aren't happening to them, that they're not seeing anything, that, why is this person, 3 blocks away having a black triangle sighting, and I go outside an hour later, spend 3 hours outside staring up the stars and see nothing, not even a satellite. I mean, it takes more than just a couple of hours.
Yes. Yeah, and I talk about that too, and I talked a lot about that in my cryptid book as well, about being patient. And I used the story of how I used to feed rabbits at my grandma's house, how I would put oats out for them, and I would sit behind the patio door, and then days would go by, I would move outside the patio door to get closer to them, and eventually, not that I'm proud of this now, because I realize this is probably not the smartest thing in the world, but I got to the point where I could feed them out of my hand, which is, it's amazing that, but it took a lot of patience and a lot of time. And that's the same thing that you're talking about here. It's with UFOs, it's a lot of patience. It's a lot of hurt necks looking up at the sky. And, but again, I talk a lot about doing that, a lot about practicing. It's one thing to interview people, but it's another thing to really know what you're talking about, and getting out there, having that experience, to me, is part of being a good researcher, good investigator, knowing what a satellite looks like when it's hitting the sunlight at, when it's dark where you're at and it's up there in the sky and it's still hitting sunlight, and when it's just really reflecting that sunlight down to you and what that looks like. It's beautiful when you see that, and to really understand what's really happening up there, and to use the satellite tracker in your hand and you're watching the satellite kind of it's really awesome to do it. But again, it takes time, it takes research and understanding of how to use these tools. And again, there's no substitute for actual experience. So it's really hard, and I try to lay that in with the book, is that it's kind of hard to go and investigate if you don't know you've never seen this stuff or tried to go find it.
When you are talking to people face to face, online, or wherever it may be, and they are wanting to learn about what is a UFO and what is a satellite, how do you break that down for them?
Well, everything is unidentified, obviously, until you identify it. So, but I talk about, the software to find satellites and what a satellite will look like and the times of night that you're generally going to encounter them and kind of what to expect. But again, it goes on that experience. I talk about some of the times I've seen strange things in the sky. I mean, I've seen stuff that you see a lot of stuff when you just took your dogs out to the top of the hour last hour, but people see a lot of them when they're walking their dogs. Dogs out doing the business, and what are you going to look at? Just going to look at the sky. Geez, what is that moving? So I can tell you some of the really weird stuff I've seen was when I was walking my dog, and I've seen things that were moving along like a satellite, then all of a sudden it just zigzagged. It moved all over the place. Now, I do explain that there's some things that happen with our eyes that can cause that. So, if you blink and you refocus on something, and then you look back up, and if you can observe that same behavior, then you're probably looking at something legitimate. And I was fortunate to see something like that happen. There's no way an object is going to move, few hundred miles in less than a second and then zigzag and go back. Granted, there are things that can, again, your eyes can play tricks on you because you're looking very far away, and it messes with your depth perception, and your eyes are trying to get used to the dark and everything else. There's a lot of stuff that happens. But I just explained to people what to kind of expect. And again, it's up to them to get that experience and to really realize some of the things that you can expect to see up there. And then, once you learn what's normal, you understand kind of what to expect and you observe it and you get that experience, that's when the strange things, you can really kind of narrow them out. The more observation you do, the more you witness, the more you watch, the more you can separate the zany from the unzany. But there's just weird stuff. I mean, when you see a meteor, a regular meteor, it's basically dust. But I'll tell you what, it's weird because I've seen them and I swear I hear them. But you can't. They're so small. They don't make a very big impact on the environment. They don't leave a sonic boom. But it's a weird phenomena that happens. So there's some weird stuff that even scientists can't explain. Scientists say, well, you see a light and you expect to hear a sound, so therefore you hear a sound. But I've heard it. It's weird. And there's no explanation. So there's weird stuff that happens over our heads all the time that we just can't explain. But again, it comes down to knowing what is normal and getting out there and experiencing it yourself, kind of having an idea of what to expect.
Totally get it. But on the slight chances someone actually sees something, considering what has been happening around the UFO community the last number of years, who should somebody even report it to? Do you trust MUFON? Do you go along with trying to maybe report it to the stars or the police station? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's I don't know. That's a great question because, yeah, MUFON's had its problems, and MUFON is a very large organization. That's fantastic, but it's also bad at the same time because there are standards that they're supposed to adhere to, but if you go state to state, even city to city, those standards are different because you have individual people that are doing these things. And, I've heard some not so good stories about some of their investigation methods and techniques and follow up on these stories. To the stars, I don't know what to think about those guys. They're kind of out there. No pun intended. They are out there. I'm not sure what their deal is or what their end game is or goal is, but they're kind of, I'm not sure what to think of those guys. But then you get into the police department. You call your local police department, you see a light in the sky. If you use the word UFO or aliens or anything like that, they're going to laugh at you and they're going to hang up and they're not going to investigate it. If you do make it sound like it's a serious claim, like I don't understand what I'm seeing something right now. If you're seeing something currently, they may go out, send somebody out, they may look for it, because you have the potential for an aircraft in distress or something like that they really have to go out there and investigate. But if you're going to say, hey, 2 nights ago I saw this light in the sky and my car died and I lost time, they're going to be like, okay, well, you know what, call MUFON. A lot of times MUFON will approach local police stations and tell them, hey, if you get a weird zany call like that, let us get it. Have them call us. So you're probably going to end up with MUFON anyway. And, I still get UFO reports every now and again. People contact me and I take the report and I follow up on it the best I can, but I also give it to MUFON. And if they are actively investigating it, I step away. But more times than not, I give it over to them and they just put it up on their case management system and it just sits there. So, if you really have a sighting, try to find somebody who's actively involved in investigating, because the longer you wait after some of these things happen, we're talking about getting a hold of radar data and all this stuff. It's some of the stuff like flight tracker stuff. It used to be free. Now you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's not
annoying.
It's not. Yeah, it's really annoying. It's really good. It's a lot more detailed than it used to be, but it used to be free, which is great. And you think in this digital age that we're in, the age of over information, that it would be free, but alas, it's not. But if you know the right people and the people that are into this stuff and are willing to help you, MUFON is just, I hate to say it, they're almost like a warehouse or a clearing house of old cases just to generate. It's a business. It's just trying to get money. So that's
on that note, my friend. On that note, my friend, we're gonna keep you right there until we go to break here. Space Out Radio, Hour 3 with Brian D. Parsons, coming up right after this.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacy, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night and Sunday, Tessa Nicole Thomas is back in the studio with Spaced Out Weekend. She gets going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, if you've missed part of this show or others, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. FIPPLE. FIPPLE is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, which is currently under construction because we are making it bigger, better, and easier to use for all of you out there. So make sure you check it out the next couple of weeks. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest, Brian D. Parsons. He has a couple of websites, briandparsons.com and paranewsinsider.com, if you want to check it on out, which I highly suggest you do. He is a successful author, paranormal speaker, researcher for the last 23 years, pretty much done it all in this field. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm holding on. I wish I was on the West Coast, but hanging in there.
Well, you know what? It's always a good time to have someone like you on here because you've brought a lot of reality to what we do, and I think it's pretty stellar that you've done that. So thank you for making time for us this weekend to kick off our long weekend here. I do want to ask, we're right in the heart now, getting to the start of Paracon season, UFO cons, mega cons, super cons, comic cons, whatever kind of con you can find. How do you enjoy them?
I think you used the good word there, con. Well, I do. Some of them are a little shady, but yeah, I really enjoy them. I not just speaking at them, but if I am speaking at one, I like to listen too. I like to sit down and listen to what the people have to say and watch their presentations, but just to meet people and networking and hearing these stories and what other people are doing or experimenting with their findings. You can't get that anywhere else. I don't care what you do on Facebook. I don't care what you do on Twitter or Instagram or all that stuff. That's all well and good, but face-to-face is different. You know, when you're standing there talking to somebody and you're having a conversation or you're looking at somebody's work, and it's just a totally different feeling. And you're not always meeting people that are in the field. You're meeting people that have a curiosity. They have questions. They want to know about their individual occurrence with seeing a UFO or a ghost or whatnot. And sometimes being around those people gives you a feeling of a purpose and of need, and can reignite the flame that maybe you're kind of bored or you're kind of tired of doing these things. But you meet people that are in desperate need of answers, or just a really big fan of the paranormal, or maybe of you. maybe you have groupies out there. It's a lot of fun to meet these people, and sometimes these conferences and conventions get a bad name where somebody's trying to scam people out of money and not really do a convention, or these things will not have anybody show up, or the people will not, the speakers won't show up. But I tell you, overall, these are fantastic. And, I mentioned I've been doing my show, The Paranormal News Insider, for over 10 years now. And one of the staples that I've been doing is logging as many conferences and conventions that I can on the website. And it's all the links I have. Probably this is the most, well, not even probably, I can guarantee you through looking at metrics, this is the most clicked on link that I have of any website anywhere. And a lot of people can attest to this, that they're getting click-throughs through my website. So it's doing something. And I'm trying to give back to the paranormal in that way. There's a lot of other websites that track these things, and I think I do a pretty darn good job of it. I know I don't have them all, and it's hard to get time to put up a lot of these things. And it looks like, looking at it right now, I'm a little behind on updating some of these links, but I do the best I can because I like to be involved in these as well as to push them and to get them noticed. And I can tell you from experience, there's a lot of work that goes into putting one of these things on. And I've helped a lot of people throughout the years, small events to large events. And finally, last year, I put on my own event, which getting the speakers for was really easy. Actually, the hard part was, who am I going to leave out? Because I only have so many slots I can do. And it was kind of, it was a lot of fun, and it was a nightmare at the same time. And I don't think I want to do it again. It was just so much pressure and so much stress, and things were going wrong. The one place didn't want to have this because it was sponsored with a church, so I had to move the location at the last second. And dealing with all the questions and people's concerns about different things, and the weather, because I did it in February in Ohio. I was crazy, but that's how I saved money on it. And just trying to charge just enough to be able to pay for it without going broke. And I wasn't in it for the money. I was in it to just for the experience, to do it. It was on my bucket list. I wanted to have my own event. And, we're talking about Weird Ohio. It's kind of the theme here of this show. And my event took place in a place called Twinsburg, Ohio. So Twinsburg, we are known for a yearly convention. It's worldwide. It's known throughout the world. We get people from all over the world come here. In September every year, we have twins. We have triplets, quadruplets, sextuplets, all these people that look the same. It is really spooky. Talk about aliens. It's really scary when you see all these people walking around wearing the same clothes, mind you. They all do that just to really throw you off. To see all these people walking around, it's really scary. So I figured a paranormal convention would fit right in. And it was a lot of fun. I had some great speakers, and it was very fun to give back to the community, bring a lot of people in and do it. But, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do it again. But really want to back up what all these other people are doing out there, because I know it's a lot of work. And I do love appearing at these things. I got a handful that I'm coming to this year. Not a whole lot, but I really like them. I think they do serve a purpose, and it's an extension of our culture, and it gets people together. And it's really fun to travel to different states, and I've been to a couple in Canada as well, just to see how this is different. And again, you mentioned a whole list of types of things. I break it down by ghost, UFO, and cryptid, but a lot of them have multiple speakers or multiple types of speakers. But the cryptid ones are generally all about Bigfoot. Granted, you'll have one that may be a specific type of creature in a location, and you may have other creatures, such as the Mothman Festival. And, of course, UFO stuff is generally just UFO stuff. And a lot of the ghost conventions, they primarily focus on ghost groups and ghost speakers, but they'll also probably have cryptid speakers or UFO speakers. This is what I'm doing at the beginning of next month, just a couple of weeks now, at the Haunted Heights Paranormal Convention in Houghton Lake, Houghton Lake Heights, Michigan. I'm actually going to be the only UFO speaker amongst a bunch of ghost speakers. Actually, there is one cryptozoologist there. That's why I jumped on the UFO thing. So it's always kind of weird being the outcast, but it's nice to be able to bring something that maybe they've never heard before and kind of add to a dynamic. And I'm looking forward to that and learning from them as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
One of the issues that I've taken on board this year, not that I'm trying to be a sourpuss or anything like that, but I've looked at a lot of these UFO cons and events, and I'll be speaking at a couple in September, which I'm pretty excited about. They're back-to-back, one in Toronto at the Alien Cosmic Expo, and then the Forest Moon Paracon in Washington State the week after. So a lot of traveling in between that. But one of the issues that when I looked at a lot of these lineups this year, and I just paid attention this year because I think we all have a lot of friends in this field, very brilliant people who never seem to get the opportunity to speak at one of these events or never invited to speak. And it kind of got me shaking my head a little bit when I saw some of the people out there. We see a lot of people, without naming names, a lot of charlatans, a lot of fakers, a lot of deceivers, a lot of self-titlers who are trying to make a name for themselves and capitalize on their popularity by speaking on these topics like they're some sort of authority, when in reality, they're lying to the public because of the way they portray themselves. And I'm noticing a lot of these conferences are doing that. They're not doing their homework to check the backgrounds of people, to make sure that they are on top of their game. They're more excited because of their popularity on social media, or they had a 30-second stint on a television show. Do you notice that as well? Because I'm finding it to be pretty frustrating when I see good, hardworking people who deserve an opportunity to speak at these, to bring legitimate information, being ruled out and over by these events who are bringing in a bunch of charlatans.
You are not alone, my friend. I feel the same way, and especially the UFO field. You see a lot of that. It's the big names. It's the big draw. How can we sell tickets? And it doesn't matter, like you said, the background or what they stand for or what they've done. It's very annoying. And I could tell you, I was very, very blessed and very fortunate to be able to speak at the Kecksburg UFO Festival a couple years ago. I was actually headlined at that in 2017. So I was very, very honored to do that. And Stan Gordon, who's a very prominent, long-time, 50-year researcher in Western Pennsylvania, who's documented all sorts of crazy, zany stuff. Really fantastic gentleman as well. And he makes sure that he changes that lineup every year. He brings in new people, and he mixes it up. They're going to get people there no matter what. It's a festival. They've combined their county festival with this UFO festival on top of it. So even if without speakers, there's still going to be a ton of people there. So I think it's fantastic that he rotates people in and out, and it's not the same boring 5-6 people and the same, like you said, charlatans that show up and charge people $100, $500 for an autograph or whatever ridiculous things that really go on behind these doors, and charge extra money to sit by them to eat money or eat food or eat dinner. It's just some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen and heard of. And it does happen probably more in the UFO field than in the other field, but it's not like the ghost field is completely absent of that when you're talking about celebrities on TV shows that really have done nothing but were cast on a TV show, and just showed up and maybe had a couple of lines, and what have they really done for the field beyond that? But a lot of people, that's what they want to see. They want to see what the people that are on TV, and they think that they're really accomplishing things just by being there. But to me, that's not what I go for. I go for the grassroots people, the people that are out there in the field, the people that are.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Skype decided that it was going to log me out. Isn't that just nice? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, Microsoft, for doing that. as now I have to figure out what my password is. Son of a gun. And, of course, I got my password incorrect. Son of a gun. Why would this do this? Who designs this crap? Seriously. And, of course, I can't remember my password. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I feel horrible about this right now. Horrible about this. We're having a good conversation. Damn you, Microsoft. Oh, we're going to find something else out here, because one of the things that I learned recently in talking to the people with Spreaker is that apparently, finally, apparently, we have the ability to use a different system here. So I'm going to be finding out a little bit about that. I'm getting sick and tired of this Microsoft crap. Hold on. Let's turn that off there. So that way you don't have to hear the ugly ringing.
Gotcha.
Brian, well, you know what? Microsoft, in their ever-thinking ways, decided that it would be nice to log me out. Log me out.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I guess I hadn't logged out of Skype in a while. So they figured, oh, well, who cares if you're on a call? Let's just drop the call. But
and you know what? That is the beauty of live radio.
Yes.
And that's why I love it so much.
Pain in the butt. Yes. Anyways, you were saying about the conferences and the same old people who were kind of hanging out, doing their thing. And I don't have a problem with conferences bringing in what I like to call the A-listers, okay? The A-listers
Sure.
who are going to bring in the money. Because in the end, at least, I mean, you're someone who's put on a conference, I put on a conference, you at least want to break even. That is the main goal. Anything after breaking even is bonus. And that's the way it's looked, because you don't do it to make money. At least the majority of them out there aren't. But on the flip side, you need those people to bring the names in. I just don't think that when you get to that second and third tier of guests, that a lot of these conferences out there are really checking the resumes to see what they are inviting in. I know there's one person out there who claims to be an investigative journalist, and in reality, he's a barista. Right? But he plays it up, and he's able to speak at a ton of conferences this year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that it's not so, I don't see it too much anymore, but there for a while I saw a lot of people that all they did was go to different haunted locations to hang out with people, and then that became their claim to fame. Well, I've investigated these places with these people. Well, you paid money to do that. How does that make you special? You know, who are you? You know, and some of these people made their own websites, and they say, "Oh, I've investigated 100 places." Well, yeah, I mean, you paid money to go on a tour. Like, that doesn't make you an investigator. So yeah, people have some really funny and strange claims to fame as far as their backgrounds. Just because you met somebody doesn't make you famous. Being famous doesn't rub off from other people onto you. That's not how it works. You actually have to actually do stuff. You know, there's a lot of charlatans. People will take a class and they'll claim that they're a parapsychologist when all they did was take a one-time class. It doesn't make you a parapsychologist. You call yourself that, but it doesn't really make you one just because you took a little class. You know, that's the other thing too, is when people are taking these courses and classes and claim to be experts, there are no experts in the paranormal unless you have a background in a specific field that would make you an expert in that field, but not the paranormal. You know, that's you don't see that too much anymore. It was the big thing there for a while. Now it's all monetizing YouTube sites for money and blogs and being a patron and all these other things that people are coming up with to try to make money off of their hobbies. It's a hobby for most people. It's not a job. It's not a career for most people. I'd say 99.9% of people. And, even when you get to some of these teams, I know some of these conventions are trying to help their friends or help their buddies and help these teams. But, when these teams put on these presentations of, hey, look at my 20 orb pictures, sometimes it's a little annoying. I'm not going to lie. And it's kind of embarrassing because these teams aren't really up to par with things. And, as somebody who puts on one of these things, like you said, I want to make sure the people I had were top notch as far as I'm concerned. And they're all from Ohio. But they're all great people, all great researchers in different fields. Some of them with ties to MUFON, some of them with ties to Center for Fortean Zoology. One of them is actually a parapsychologist, studied in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh. So I had a quite dynamic background of people, and I could vouch for their backgrounds and the work that they'd actually done. And people realized that, and they felt that through their presentations. And if you're putting on charlatans, you may have some people standing up and clapping because they love these people. But I think a lot of other people are walking away going, what did I throw my money down for these people? And I think some people will see that. They may not realize it at first, but I think when they see these people, I think a lot of people see through them, that have a passion for these fields.
I guess as we wind things down with only a couple of minutes, I would like to see some homework done. Like I know Lorraine Fenton's group who put on UFO MegaCon, they do a lot of work in pre-screening their guests because they don't want any of their speakers pulling the wool over their audience's eyes. And I really commend her and Jordan Peace and many other people for doing that. But there's a lot that don't. They see the name and they're like, oh my goodness, this guy's all over Facebook, or this woman is all over Instagram. And that's what dictates whether or not they get asked. I think that's the danger of it all. And it's too bad because there's a lot of people in this field, doesn't matter what field you cover, that are out there for their own benefit and not for the benefit of education, which the majority of us should be.
Absolutely. And, a lot of the ones that I go to, that I attend, when I get a request to show up at a convention, somebody wants me to go there, I want to make sure that it's going to be mutually beneficial. Is this something that is going to be good for me? Is it going to be good for them as well? Because I'm a little skeptical. I'm not your average everyday true believer on all these things. So I want to make sure that their convention is something that's going to appeal to me as a speaker. I don't want to go have a bunch of grumpy people throwing tomatoes at me. And also, is it good for me? Is it good for them? I don't want to just show up just to show up and they're going to pay my mileage and all these things, give me a hotel room or whatever, if it's not going to be good for them, because I don't want that reputation. So, we'll vet that a little bit. And a lot of events I go to are put on by fellow investigators, fellow researchers. And a big one I'm going to in the end of May, beginning of June, is put on by Eric Altman, the PA Bigfoot Camping Adventure. Lots of people are going to be there. All sorts of you talk about celebs, but the celebrities are just there to draw people there. And there's still a ton of speakers, including myself, Stan Gordon, Steve Coles, Ron Murphy, good friend of mine, Jay Pachochin, all the way from Wisconsin, is going to be there. So that is going to be. I'm already excited about this, and we still got a month to go.
Do not blame you. Brian D. Parsons, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure to have you. Coming up next, 5 years ago tomorrow, I saw my first ET. I'm going to tell you all about it.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com. A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment. including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on the mighty SOR. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride as we head into the weekend. Reminder, if you've missed part of this show or any others, you can always sign up for our archives. They are on YouTube, free for you to listen to. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. We would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. The new website is under construction. It'll be up and running here in the next couple of weeks. So thank you for being patient with that as well. Let's get to the news. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, bringing you the weird, the wacky, the WTF, those stories that make you scratch your head. Brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. But tonight, I'm getting a little personal with this, because tomorrow, Saturday, at 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, it will be the 5-year anniversary since I saw an extraterrestrial. It was a very, very profound moment in my life that I will never forget. And it was a very, very life-altering experience. So to set this up, I got to go back 5 days, where we were over at a friend's house in Mission, British Columbia. And to paint the picture, they had a 10-acre hobby farm, and their neighbor, their only neighbor, had a 6.5 acre, and both properties were horseshoed by a forest. There was only 2 houses on the street. And 5 days previous, on the 10th, I'll make that the 20th, pardon me. No, hold on. It wasn't that story. It was 4 years ago tomorrow. 4 years ago tomorrow. Sorry, my dates kind of happen all in April. So on April 10th, 2014, that's where I saw the UFO landing at my friend's property. 5 days after that, which I should have mentioned on Monday, it was the anniversary of seeing my first extraterrestrial. Now, on April 20th, 2015... this is the story I wanted to get to. Sorry about the confusion. That's the night Carl appeared. How could I forget that? How could I screw that up? But I did. Son of a gun. So on April 20th, 2015, we were talking about Buddha. And author Harvey Kraft was on the show that night. And it was kind of weird. Because 3 nights previous to that, I'd forgotten to turn my outdoor lights on. And I lived in a subdivision in Mission, British Columbia. And I had turned the upstairs bedroom by the front door into a radio studio. And Mrs. SNR and I lived in a rancher house with our kids who had their bedrooms downstairs. And typical rancher fashion, you know, if you're looking at it, we had the dining room, and then you had the front door, and then beside the front door was a bedroom, and beside the bedroom was the garage. So I'm somebody who always has lights on. Don't know why, just do. And we always had one of those houses that would literally be the type of house where we never minded when company would come over. If somebody dropped over for coffee at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, it was nothing out of the ordinary because we had a close-knit group of friends that we hung out with. And a lot of times, that was the only time we got to see each other was later on at night. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So on April 20th, 2015, it was the third night in a row I had forgotten to take or turn on my outdoor lights. And, of course, I do my regular radio show. This is when we started broadcasting at 10 o'clock Pacific and not 9 o'clock. It was just a 2-hour show back then. And here we were. I get Harvey Kraft on the phone before the show. This is in the old Blog Talk radio days. And we start chatting. And then the show fires up. This is previous to Bumblefoot coming in. Had some canned music that wasn't too bad, but not as good as it could have been like we have now. I introduce Harvey Kraft, that we're going to be talking about about Buddha that night. And here we go. The show keeps going. And about 17 minutes in, the window to the room I was in, the new studio that I was in, was to my left, about a couple feet away. And I could see something moving out there. Now, my first inclination when I saw something moving was, crap, someone's over. My dogs are going to start barking. And that's never good for a radio program. So when you got dogs barking in the background, because I literally have a Chiweenie. He has a half Chihuahua, half Dachshund, that she loves to hear her own bark. If there's a crosswind out there, I've timed it out. That's about 20 minutes of barking right there. Drives me nuts. But she's a good little pup. And the other guy, Big Doug, who's a German Shepherd Lab Cross, when he gets going, he'll keep going because the little one's still going. And I was thinking, crap, somebody's going to come to the front door. They're going to knock. The dogs are going to start barking. But then I didn't hear a knock. I did not hear a knock at all. So 17 minutes into the show, no dogs barking. I could see out of the corner of my eye, through my peripheral vision, that there's someone standing outside. So I put my microphone on mute, and I turned my swivel chair to look out the window to see who is there. Because very few friends at that point actually knew that I was into this radio program. It was only a few months old, just under 6 months old at that time. And I was just getting into it. Hell, I think we only had maybe maybe, if we were lucky, 100 listeners a night at that point. So I turned my chair and looked to see which one of my friends is outside. And as my eyes started to focus out the window, I noticed that there was a face out the window that was staring back at me. And as my eyes focused in on that face, I realized that it was a large-headed gray with giant black eyes. I could see the cheekbones, I could see the chin bone, the eyebrow bones. And in those 2 seconds, literally it was about 2 seconds, maybe 3, that I actually saw this creature standing outside my window, staring right back at me. I literally jumped back in my chair and I screamed. And then I jumped up to go look out the window. I stood up to go look out the window. I wanted to see this thing. And it was gone. It was gone. Now, in that time that I would have jumped up and saw this, I would have been able to see anybody running away. I would have been able to see anybody taking off to get out of the area. But there was nobody there. And it freaked me out. In the meantime, I have my headphones on, and I'm listening to Harvey babble away, not paying attention to anything that he is saying, because this is a little bit bigger news. No, there was no snow, no footprints, nothing. So I immediately text at the other part of the house Mrs. SOR to come in here because she's quite an empath. And I remember texting her, "Alien at the window, get in here now." So she comes running into the studio. And as Harvey is still talking, not knowing any of this has gone on, she starts putting her hands up to the window, and her hands start burning, picking up on the energy, and the energy around the house just went haywire. So she immediately grabs the Palo Santo wood and the sage and starts smudging everything, trying to clean the energy out. It was strange. Then finally, Harvey Kraft finishes whatever it was he was saying, because I wasn't really paying attention. And I said something along the lines of, "Harvey, we just had something strange happen here." And over the course of the night, I literally didn't know what to do, didn't know what to say. I was rattled. I was absolutely rattled. And to this day, I literally don't know what it was. Sure, we have skeptics out there who say, maybe you saw a person. I knew a total of about 6 people that I had told that I was doing the radio show. I didn't really publicize it at that point in my personal life. And like I said, if it was a person, I would have been able to see whatever it was run off. So April 20th, even though the majority of people will be celebrating 420 for much, much different reasons, that is the reason why I celebrate April 20th, because Carl has become a very, very integral part of what we do on this show. A very integral part of what we do. And it's very, very interesting to see how influential and special as a mascot that Carl has become. On that note, let's get to the thought of the day. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Twitter and Facebook pages, then read your responses on the air, because that's what we do around here. We love the audience participation. So today's Thought of the Day, a little bit solemn, but we got to it. What is your best memory or story of Ed and Lorraine Warren? Of course, today is a day that Lorraine Warren passed away at the age of 92. We're going to start off on Twitter with William, who says, I saw them speak in person, spent 10 years in the Army and read a lot of their books, and they came and they spoke on campus. Loved it. Such nice people, too. Good information, and had a great sense of humor. We'll never forget it. That's a nice one. Nice one. Let's go a little bit further, shall we? Jesse. They came to my college to speak in 1991 in Morristown, New Jersey. None of the kids around me knew who these old folks were. They got angry when we all laughed about burning Ouija boards. Lorraine, especially, was visibly angry. Story that he will never forget. Nathan says, it's a very sad day for the paranormal. Liam. She was an amazing woman. I would go see her and her late husband, Ed, give lectures, and even had the opportunity to see the Paranormal Museum at their house in Monroe, Connecticut. Very cool. Very cool. Bram. Lorraine Warren was a luminary in her field. Wow. What a life. Pretty cool. Absolutely pretty cool. Let's go over to Facebook. Catherine. Edward Warren and Lorraine Warren were American paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of hauntings. Ed was a World War II United States Navy veteran and former police officer who became a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer. Lorraine professed to be clairvoyant and a light trance medium who worked closely with her husband. That context being said, many believe they were fakes. He has the knowledge to manipulate people, and an involving story. She was most likely a potential catalyst. Susan. Well, they were fun. I met them years ago, about 30, on a Pittsburgh television show. He was very friendly. She wasn't. Later, I read Ed liked the ladies, and I was very young at the time. I knew there were some issues about credibility before, after watching a television show about them and the demons they had exorcised. When it showed a picture of a statue of a demon, which they claimed to be very evil and haunted, I recognized it as something I saw being sold at Pier 1 Imports. It was of an Indonesian dragon. Guess she's not a fan. A lot of people weren't fans. Call them fakes, hoaxers. Do you believe that they were? I don't really know. Robert claims, I really enjoyed reading their book about demonology. Something I never read. Barry Taff, going to be a guest on this show in June. I thought that they were both a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal. Demons here, demons there, demons everywhere. You a demon, there's a demon, everyone gets demons. Yeah, right. Way back in 1993, Oprah was going to do a show dealing with the paranormal, and I was contacted. While being interviewed on the phone, I asked the producer who else would be on the show. Almost everyone she named was great, except for two, Ed and Lorraine Warren. I refused to do the show as I didn't want to be linked to the paranoid, troubled psyches of two demonologists who saw the devil everywhere. Turns out, the other scientific guests they contacted said the same thing. Oprah never did the show. Very intriguing. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. but I think on today, because Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren, now I never talked to them, never got a hold of them. But the one thing that they was they did bring attention to the paranormal. Kind of like the first celebrities, as we said with our guest tonight, Brian D. Parsons. So that's kind of cool. And 92 for anybody is a very, very good life. We can all hope to get to that age. And now Lorraine gets to enjoy her time with her husband Ed for eternity on the other side. That's the thought of the day of today. Remember, you can find all of our news put together by Captain Shirk on our Facebook page, the SOR Newswire. Right now, normally it would be on our website, but our new website is being built and under construction right now. So you got to wait for that. I want to say a big thank you to Brian D. Parsons for coming on the show, finishing off the week with us. You can catch Brian's websites at briandparsons.com, as well as parrotnewsinsider.com. If you want to check out his news site, that would be absolutely wonderful. Don't forget this weekend, because we do go 7 days a week, only at spacedoutradio.com. You can check out the weekend show, Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa Nicole Thomas. She'll have a couple of guests for Saturday and Sunday night while I am off finding my Zen and my Chi and maybe a little Bigfoot in the forest. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern to catch her show. So come on and tune on in. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. A special thanks to each and every one of you for making this a special week, whether you were listening at home, in your cars, at work, or in one of our chat rooms on Spreaker, Revolution Radio, or the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you for tuning us in this week, helping us get bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, let me hear you say it. Say it with me. We own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe. Good night.